there's a couple of them. So the main one for e-learning development is hands down Articulate Storyline. And now Articulate Storyline, it also has another program called Rise 360. And so Rise 360 is basically a web-based editor where you can build mobile responsive courses quite quickly because it's just a drag and drop builder. And the other one is Articulate Storyline, and that one is the major one. And that's the one where you can basically build anything that you want. That includes all the different interactivity types, right? You can do the drag and drops and the hotspots and the pick one and the pick mini and text entry, and you can even connect it to JavaScript to load extra things, and you can have it talk to different platforms. And so that's Articulate Storyline, and then it's like little sister is Rise. So that's the main e-learning authoring tool. And the other one is Adobe Captivate. But what you really want to focus on, of course, is the tools of the industry that are showing up in job boards. And I don't usually see Adobe Captivate unless it's a government job. Okay, so that's the main thing, right? Is your e-learning authoring tool is the main one. But to put together e-learning usually comes with a lot of different components, right? You've got to sometimes you need to create an animated video. Maybe you need to do some video editing of like face to camera or some other kind of on the job video shoot that you do. You've got to be able to edit your audio. Maybe you want to make some animations and things like that. And so the other tools that I'd like to point out are, so for video editing, Camtasia. There are so many other fancier video editing tools out there, and you can get into things like Final Cut Pro and other Adobe products. But Camtasia is easy to use. It's pretty fast to render, because I don't know if anybody's ever tried to use an Adobe Final Cut Pro or After Effects, but geez Louise, you need a heavy duty computer just to render a video in one of those programs. So Camtasia is great for that. And it's really, you can just line things up, and it has its own little template library. And so Camtasia is fantastic. And it's also definitely one of those industry standard type of tools. And then that's for like standard video editing. And then for animation, I go 100% with Beyond, because you can customize your characters. They have a lot of presets instead of you having to put the bones of an illustration and then animating every little thing of an illustration, which is so time consuming and not the way, we don't have time for that anyway as instructional designers. Beyond, you can just say bounce ball, and then you have the character that you want. He's bouncing the ball, or maybe you want him to fly. You just type in the word fly, and there he is flying, and you can make him fly, and you can add motion paths. And so Beyond is a really great tool for animation, and that's the one I recommend for that. And then of course VoiceOver. A lot of times as instructional designers, and especially when you're building your first portfolio, you're going to need to add some kind of narration to your e-learning, and you're probably not going to go and hire a voiceover artist, especially if you're building for your portfolio. So you got to record your own voiceover. And so one of the tools that a lot of people use, because it's free, is Audacity. It's free to download. It's pretty easy to use, and you can record right into Audacity from your computer, and then you can edit in Audacity as well. And then you can publish it as an MP3, a WAV, or whatever type of file that you need, so that of course you can add voices to your e-learning, to your Beyond videos, or even in Camtasia. And then the other tool that I would like to point out that I think is, I use it pretty much every day, and it's related to Camtasia. It's called Snagit, and it's by the company TechSmith. And Snagit is just one of those screen capturing tools, but it's a little special in that it's not it doesn't just take a picture of the entire screen, right? Instead, you can take a region, you can scroll down on a window and get the whole image that way. You can annotate the images right there in the Snagit program. You can build job aids from there. And so in many ways, Snagit is another great tool. If you have zero experience in any of those tools that I just mentioned, Storyline, Beyond, Camtasia, Audacity, whatever it is, right? You want to start with the most fundamental of all instructional design tools, and that is some type of presentation software like PowerPoint. The more that you can do and understand in PowerPoint, the more skilled you will be able to be to move in to the other programs, right? When you start getting into PowerPoint and you know how to animate, you know how to build on master slides, you know how to integrate. You can actually put hotspots in a PowerPoint. You can make videos out of PowerPoint. When you can master that tool, or at least get really comfortable with PowerPoint, then that will translate to a lot of other tools. If you can do animations and you can do it on a timeline in PowerPoint, then it becomes easier to use other tools that have timelines, like the animation tool Beyond or Camtasia, which is the video editor. And it's all about lining things up on a timeline. That would be my first tool. And then I would also encourage you, if you're wanting to learn the other tools, is to have a project in mind. It's one thing to, watch a bunch of tutorials on a tool when you don't have any purpose for it. It's a different thing to be like, here's a script, and somehow I got to turn this script into a video or an e-learning course or something like that, because then it becomes really specific about the types of tutorials or things that you're looking for when you're looking for training. Because instead of looking for like how to use Storyline, you're like how to create drag and drops with that snaps to the middle, right? And so when you can get real specific, then it makes it a lot easier for you to keep on going and learning that tool, because you're working on a project, you have a purpose, you have directed, targeted search terms for when you're looking for tutorials, right? If you're trying to get it all done through free tutorials, you have that. You can build your portfolio for completely free and still learn all the tools and demonstrate all the skills that you need to without spending a dime on technology. For every paid program out there, there is either a free trial account, right, where you can build your little project, download it and have a copy. Maybe it's going to have a watermark on it, right? Or maybe you might need to capture a screen share of the video you created in the trial version of Beyond or whatever, right? Just so that you can keep a copy. Maybe you have to do some hacks, but you can absolutely learn the tools and create projects and create your portfolio without having to spend any money on tools. And even things like Camtasia, yeah, it's got a watermark, but there's also like Screencast-O-Matic, which is like the free version of Camtasia. And so there's usually some kind of alternative as well. You usually want to show that you can use the name brand tool, right? Especially for something like Articulate Storyline. But if you're wanting to show in your portfolio that you have e-learning development skills, you can build one in an Articulate Storyline trial, and then you can also build one in some other programs that it's also e-learning authoring, like Genially, which they have a free version of that interactive e-learning tool. And so you can put that in your portfolio. So there's a ton of free tools out there, a ton of free trials, and you can build your entire portfolio without having to spend any money. Because the thing is they want to see you demonstrate your skills. You don't need, they don't care about the watermarks or whatever it is that they put on there so that they could, give you a free trial. They care about, can they do the work if we hire them? Now, if you're a freelancer, it's a different story, right? Because as a freelancer, you should have a bag of tools that are paid for. That's part of running your business. But as somebody who's just trying to land a job, don't spend money on the tools. In fact, your company will pay for the tools that you use on the job. I mean, if there's one thing, maybe that if you're like, if I'm going to splurge and I got a little bit of money to spend, what would you recommend I spend my money on? As far as tools go, I'd say get Canva Pro. You can create animated videos, GIFs, images, presentations, facilitator guides, participant guides, job aids, a pretty resume. You can create images for your portfolio and just all kinds of things. And you can, download in certain formats and all that other kind of stuff with Canva Pro. It is a very powerful tool, and it's, I think, like $100 for a year, something cheap like that. And so that would be the one tool.